Hi guys, in this video I'll show you how to scale internationally with your e-commerce or dropshipping business with your Facebook ads. So whether you already have a great momentum and you're looking to get like first, like 1,000 sales, or you already have you're spending like $100,000 or $500,000 per month on your advertising, I'll show you how to leverage that and how to scale internationally to other countries, and basically how to leverage that momentum, how to get many more sales, much more profit, and more freedom for yourself and for your family. So I'll show you basically how to scale that, how to find those pockets of audiences that are underutilized and overseen by other, your competitors, and how to utilize that and how to get amazing results, amazing ROAS, and how to get a tremendous scale for your business. So let's get started, guys. I'll show you everything. I'll show you specific strategies that you can use, specific countries you can target. So I'll show you everything step by step. Typically, you want to maximize the results on the country that's the best performing for you. So typically, a lot of advertisers, they start with United States or Canada, developed countries basically, right? And we start with big four a lot of the times. And so in this case, if you advertise continuously, you will get your audience fatigue, right? So, sooner or later, with Facebook, it's kind of people will get tired of seeing your messages because you will constantly hit the same people. And so then you have few options, right? One is basically refresh your creative, right? Basically change the video, change the copy, thumbnails, images, right? You can do a new funnel, new offer. So basically there are a lot of things you can do, and a lot of them are very complex, right? But what you can also do is expand, outside of US on, the countries that you originally targeted. And compared to the rest of the world, US is a quite big country, but, in a lot of people have the purchasing capacity, but at the same time, it's kind of just a medium-sized lake. And if you you still have those vast, huge, populations of people that can also buy your product outside of US, right? And also US is very competitive because a lot of people and a lot of advertisers and drop shippers, they go after US, right, as a main kind of targeting, and pretty much you're competing with all of them, right? And especially if you have mass market product that's generally, valuable to people. So how do you start expanding, right? So, you said you probably think that I would say lookalikes, but for other countries, I would like to do something different, right? So I would start with interest or specific segments. For example, women, if I know that my core audience, basically according to the breakdown here. So what I want to show you guys, for example here, if you do a breakdown, right? For example, by delivery, age and gender, right? You'll more or less you'll see who's actually buying your product, right? And you can do this on the account level, right? You can do for example here, you can break it down here, show kind of the stats for every specific segment, how many purchases it had, basically all of the data that you need, you can just find in here inside of the breakdown. And now we know, let's say, our most kind of profitable segments women 30 plus, right? And I would probably test my top 10 countries Canada, UK, developed countries basically, New Zealand, Brazil, right? So all of those. And you have to keep in mind that some of those countries, you will not have the same audience sizes for interest targeting, right? So it's basically your job to find those kind of close targetable interests that represent large enough audiences those countries and are similar to the interests that's working for you in US, right? And basically what you're looking for this are basically these some sign of life campaigns that promising from the start, and assets that are promising from the start in those countries. Because if you see sales and if you see those countries are profitable for you, then pretty much you can just expand and spend more, right? And you're just looking to those 2-4 countries that will show the most promise. Also, if you're selling strong B2C market, mass market impulse buy product, you can get away with zero targeting. I'll show you some examples, or also I'll show you the examples of very wide audience targeting, right? However, you also if you decide zero targeting, I would just recommend you focus on a specific segment, for example, man 35 to 54. For example, you would have country, age, gender, right? This is it, kind of that's what I would call zero targeting. right? How to select countries? I would go like after, like that would depend on the product and the price point. If you're selling something more expensive, then you definitely need to go after more developed countries. If you're selling something like that's more like mass market, then you can just go through pretty much like any country. But obviously you would start with big four, right? That's like safe bet. Big four: US, Canada, UK, Australia. Big five is like if you include New Zealand as well. And other viable option is to go after e-packet countries, right? So I'll show you the link basically where all of these countries are listed here. So pretty much like these are all like good countries. You can see Brazil, Canada, Denmark, like Switzerland, Sweden, like all of these countries. Some of them are more kind of like affluent than others, so you'd have to like choose like which ones you want to go after. Like some like Australia, Austria, these are developed like rich countries. Whereas, for example, countries like Russia or like Ukraine, it's or my country, Ukraine, they're not necessarily very like developed. So, but you would have to test. Sometimes you would still be very successful, very profitable in those countries. So these are the countries you can test. You can test them like in bulks. Let's say first like 10 countries here, like 10 countries, right? And basically have like four buckets here and basically test it out this way, or you can just test them one by one. It's up to you. So basically that's how you can structure this this initial testing, right? Now with this in mind, for example, you start with kind of like, so you start with something that works, right? Then you start with countries that are developed, that you know for sure people have the capacity to buy your products, like big four, for example. And then you kind of like expand to countries that also have the capacity to buy, but also like smaller countries. So in that case, you might just like bulk them together and have like the same, like let's say I'll show you examples how we structured it, right? And then once you've kind of like exhausted that, you can even go to like very like like South Americans, Asian countries. You kind of like can go very wide if your product is mass appeal and allows you to do that. So how to structure? There are 3 ways to do that, right? One is basically 6 to 10 like different ad sets, each targeting like a different country, like broad interest or zero targeting. And inside of those, 2 or 4 of your absolute best ads, duplicated ones. So for example, how it would look here. In this particular case, as you can see, we've done well with USA, right? And then started experimenting with like other countries like Canada and USA, right? Canada and USA, and also as you can see here, I got big four, right? I got big four here. I got like US, Canada, basically combinations, right? And where these combinations came from, guys, like for me personally, that's basically how I was doing. And kind of like I would just go here, I would just do country, like breakdown by country, and I would see kind of like, okay, so if I test these 2 countries, I mean this country seems to be performing well, that's my CPA, that's just too expensive. Canada here like seems like good, right? So then I would just like, okay, I would just test like Canada by itself, right? And kind of like testing these countries, because that's from my initial data, from my initial testing, that's what I found works. And kind of like duplicating these ads, just changing the countries. This is it. Very simple. But then again, I'll show you exactly how to optimize these in a second. How to make sure that you're still like profitable with whatever testing you do at any given point, right? So that's one type. So this one would be more complex. You would have like 6 to 10 different ad sets, right, for each country, right? So in that case, you would have like quite a lot of like different ad sets. And so, I mean, I personally prefer like to have less ad sets, keep campaigns like, more focused. As you can see here, for example, we've had like quite large budgets per ad set, like 1,000, 2,000, that was manual bidding. And so like $100, $50, right? So you don't necessarily have to do it, but if you would go with smaller budgets, then you would probably go with this approach where you have like 6 to 10 like smaller ad sets, like different, either like broad interests, and those would target like different country, would see what countries convert for you, right? Or you'd have zero targeting, basically just age, gender, country, that's it, right? And inside of those, like 2 to 4 of your absolute best ads duplicated once. You can see which your best ads are from going to account overview here, right? For some reason doesn't load. And then account overview and basically clicking on creative reporting. That's where you can see like which ads are the best performing for you, right? I probably have some issue like it doesn't load properly. So basically you can also several countries bulk together, right? As I showed you, like, I mean, for example, we had like Big Four here, we had like US, Canada, like bulk together. So pretty much it worked well. We had like 0 issues. So if you go creative reporting, you will see the best ads, right? Kind of like you can analyze like what's working. So in this, right? So you can see kind of like what's, yeah, like basically you can see what ads, like what CPA you had overall and stuff. So basically you can do it that way, right? And analyze and find your best performing creative. It's, you know, it's basically using your best interests that you found working, using your best creative that you found working, kind of like combining those together, just giving them more reach, giving them more markets to, you know, to reach new people, right? So several countries bulk together. So in this case, you would just like duplicate, add new countries to it, right? Duplicate, add new countries to it. Very simple way of scaling. I mean, guys, like, gee, it's so simple, right? It's just like copying, you know, changing the country pretty much, because all of the other variables, you know, are working. Like, for example, you know, you're profitable in one country, basically you're just expanding to another country, right? And so that's like, this one's the simple, just duplicate the best performing assets with best performing countries. This is it, right? So just duplicate it, and obviously, you know, you can do it like with, so if we sort it, let's say by amount spent, we'll see what's working, right? You can see like, for example, that's what I showed like in one of the previous videos, where you basically look alike people based on last like 3 days performance, right? Based on purchase in the last 3 days, performed quite well. Then, for example, look alike of people who've, you know, like 1 to 8%. So this is how this one is structured, right? So this is how this one basically combined lookalikes. And then you can see these, right? Basically duplicated interest to other countries. We included Brazil because we found that one is working. I tried here, as you can see, like 34 countries, right? I tried like many countries. It didn't work out in this particular case. I had also like manual bidding, but you can see CPA was crazy high. So basically focusing on these like developed countries, that's what basically worked the best, right? On developed countries, these developed countries, North America, some of the countries, South America, like Brazil, Mexico worked quite well. So, and basically just duplicating. So if something works in one country, basically duplicating to another country and seeing if that performs, right? How to analyze this data? Okay, so you have like bunch of countries, you have bunch of stuff in here, right? Okay, how to analyze all of this? I mean, you have so much stuff here around, right? So the easiest way to do it, right, is basically just have your KPIs. That's what I always say, guys, like establish your KPIs, establish your benchmarks. So for example, with this product, we knew that, let's say we need to get like a like break even kind of like KPI. If we get a sale under like $40, we are profitable, we are making money. Now, with this in mind though, I found after kind of like analyzing the initial data, that if ad set is basically not giving me a sale until like 25, like $30, then I know this is like a loser ad set, right? And I know, okay, so if we come kind of like from that conclusion, then I'll just keep it running till like 25, $30, and I'll just kill it and basically just move on, just test something else, right? Test some different combination of countries, test some different combination of like audiences, right? You can see kind of like different interests targeting different countries, right? So that's what I've done, right? As you can see, like for example here, like $27. I mean, it's kind of like, so no sales, shut it down. No sales, shut it down. No sales, like 42, it's like a little bit overspent, right? That's what happens with a lot of like advertisers. They just, oh, I mean, maybe I'll just leave it running for another day. I mean, the click-through rate on that is good. I mean, it's not good. If it's not working from the start, it's probably not good. So just shut it down and just focus on something that just, works, right? Because what happens, guys, is just why ad sets, I mean, that's my personal experience, but ad sets just hitting like certain segment of the audience, right? And so in this case, it's just hitting this segment and just like, out of this like 738 people. And then it's basically just hitting those people again, right? So you can see there are more impressions than there are like people reached. And it will hit them again and again and again. As you can see, they're always like impressions are almost like pretty much every time like bigger than reach, right? So Facebook just choosing like specific segment for your lookalike, for your interest inside of that huge audience, millions of people, but just choosing that like small bucket of people, right? And if that bucket is not good, let's say if those people are not likely to buy in that bucket, right? Then it pretty much will not work out, right? So that's what I found. I mean, that was my like personal experience. I don't know what's your experience, guys, but that's what I found. And so what I decided to do is just like kill them faster, right? And so these have been profitable. We just paused this ad account. We had to switch to another one for scaling. But here you can see like this is overspent, 52, 51, 48, 47. This is overspent, 40, 56, 62. This is overspent. This is overspent. I see like that's what I told you. Like if it's not working, then it's not working. Just shut it down. Focus on something else. We try like as you can see like some other budgets. 77. Right, 91, like too expensive. We are losing money here. We're losing money here. We are losing money here. We are losing money here, right? So it's kind of like just keeping that in mind that that break even like KPI or CPA or ROAS that you have. Just keep that in mind always because that will eat all of your profits, right? That's how to analyze the data. Just kill it, right? Obviously, guys, what's important here is. Always, for me, like when we run ads, like ads need to be good, right? And what I mean by ads to be good is that click-through rate needs to be high. So I recommend having, at least like 3% click-through rate link if you can, or just aiming for that. Unique click-through rate link, 3%. Then cost per link click under $1. So you can see here we had like 7.7 click-through rate link unique. We had cost per click is basically like 70 cents. Then CPMs are quite. I never pay attention to CPMs. I don't care about CPMs. But I care about these metrics and whether that traffic actually converts. That's all I care about. So this is it, right? So these were good. So we had like quite scalable ads. This is the click-through rate like 12%. So that was good, right? That's how to analyze the data, identify these KPIs, identify your break-even like kill point. Kill your ads. Don't be afraid to kill because you can always test something else. And if this is not good, like as you can see here, if this is not good, this is not scalable. Even if I keep it like so, a lot of you guys hear that you need to like let it like season or let like data accumulate or you need like 50 events. That's a lot of bullshit because pretty much like. You can leave it. I can leave it for another like week or 2 or 3, but I'll lose like a few $1,000s just on that asset, right? So, I think it just like from my observation, it's either hits the right segment of people or not. And if your creative is good, if you're like click-through rates, if it resonates with the audience, then you shouldn't have any issues, right? It should just give you sales like profitably. And if it gives you sales profitably, then it's good for scaling, and that's how you can scale, and that's how you can scale internationally, guys. So that's how to analyze the data. So after you identify your ideal like 2-4 countries for international scaling, you can do like lookalikes of buyers. You can do lookalikes like top 25% visitors. You can do lookalikes for those countries, and the same kind of lookalikes that would work for you for US, but you adapted them for other countries, right? But just keep in mind that other countries, those lookalikes would be like, smaller, right? Because like the countries are smaller. So, for example, 1% in US would be like 2 million people. So for example, in Belgium or Switzerland, it would be like 100, 200,000 people. So you would have like 5-10% lookalikes. You would need to create like 5 to 10% lookalikes out of that, but I mean, there's so much space for scaling, even like with like wide interest. So that's what I would recommend you guys do at first, and then do lookalikes. So it's up to you, but I like broad interest more than lookalikes. But lookalikes can be also very powerful. So you can test both, right? What next? You can basically do like a CBO campaign for each country you want to expand to. So you want to have like a bid cap. So you can see we've had like quite some manual bidding here, bid cap, target cost, like lifetime budgets, like $20,000, like for a month. Basically having few variations, testing things, and seeing what basically works. Like here, what worked was like you can see big budgets. And then using like bid cap, also using target cost. So you'd have to see what works, but that's more advanced stuff. So to get to this level, you probably would be like on a very decent daily spend, like few $1,000s. So it'd be highly profitable. So then you would kind of like experiment with this. So that's where you would like experiment with bid cap. Basically, manual bidding only works if your creative is dialed in, if your ads convert, if your website converts. Only after that I would experiment with this manual bidding, more advanced stuff. And then you can create 10 ad sets with best lookalikes, winning interest from the previous phase. So after all of your ad sets have spent, like I would recommend like 1x like CPA. So I would just start like turning off losers, and then you would just like narrow it down like 3-5 super good winning ad sets, and with those already, so let's say you found like those like interest, then you can start scaling those by basically like either increasing like budget on them. I don't like to do that, or just like duplicating those higher budgets, kind of like expanding them and making the most out of them. So this is it, guys. This is how to scale internationally. So I showed you some of the examples. I showed you how to do it. I showed you like 3 different frameworks, how you can do it. And I showed you how to basically analyze the data, how to make decisions. So if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, guys, because I'll share a lot of like very useful information with you. And I'll share with you some great insights, how to increase your ad spend dramatically, and how to do it profitably, and how to make more money, how to make more sales, how to make basically create more freedom for yourself, for your family, how to grow your company, and how to basically scale up your business. So thank you very much, guys. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. If you have any questions, please drop them below in the comments, and I'll make sure to get the answer for you. So thank you very much, guys.